Captain James Miller stood at the window of Earth Defense Force headquarters, his hands clasped tightly behind his back. The night sky above Washington, D.C. blazed with unusual colors: purple, green, and blue streaks that would have been beautiful if they weren't signs of humanity's impending doom. "Sir, they're breaking through the last of our satellite defenses," Lieutenant Anna West reported, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "The alien ships, they're everywhere." Miller turned away from the window, his weathered face illuminated by the emergency lighting. The command center buzzed with frantic activity as military personnel rushed between stations, trying desperately to coordinate what remained of Earth's defenses. "What's the status of our nuclear deterrent?" he asked, already knowing the answer wouldn't be good. "Useless, sir." Technical Officer Rob Parker looked up from his console, sweat visible on his forehead. "Their shields are absorbing everything we throw at them. Even our strongest weapons are like pebbles against a tank." The first explosions rocked the building. Through the reinforced windows, Miller watched as massive ships descended through the clouds. They were elegant in a terrifying way, sleek vessels that seemed to ignore gravity itself. The Stellar Dominion, as they called themselves, had arrived without warning or provocation. A holographic screen flickered to life in the center of the room, displaying an alien figure. Its features were humanoid, but clearly not human, gray-skinned with large almond-shaped eyes that glowed with an inner light. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect English, its voice carrying an artificial smoothness. "I am High Commander Vex of the Stellar Dominion. Your species has been deemed too aggressive and unstable to join galactic society. Your numerous wars, your constant conflicts, and your rapid military advancement leave us no choice but to intervene. This is not an invasion. It is a pacification." Miller's jaw clenched. "Send a response. Tell them we're willing to negotiate." "They're blocking all outgoing communications, sir," West reported. "They're not here to talk." The building shook again, harder this time. Outside, the first energy beams struck the city. Buildings that had stood for centuries vaporized in seconds. The screams of civilians filled the air, audible even through the reinforced walls of the command center. "Sir," Parker called out, "similar attacks are being reported worldwide. New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Tokyo, all under heavy bombardment." Miller watched as the Washington Monument crumbled, its ancient stone no match for alien weapons. Rage built inside him, but he forced it down. Rage wouldn't save humanity. Not now. "Begin Emergency Protocol Delta," he ordered, his voice cutting through the chaos of the command center. "Get our people underground. All of them. If they think we're aggressive now, just wait until they see humanity with its back against the wall." "Sir, are you suggesting we surrender?" West asked, confusion clear in her voice. Miller smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "No, Lieutenant. I'm suggesting we make them think we're surrendering. Every bunker, every underground facility, every subway system, and mine shaft. I want our people hidden. Let them think they've won. Let them get comfortable." Understanding dawned on the faces around him. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. "Send the order through every channel we have left," Miller continued. "Tell every military commander, every government official, go dark, go underground, and start collecting their tech, every piece of debris, every damaged ship, every scrap of alien technology they leave behind. We study it. We learn from it. We turn it against them." Through the window, he watched as more ships descended, their energy weapons painting the sky with death. But humans had one advantage the aliens hadn't considered. They were used to being the underdogs. History was full of stories about humanity overcoming impossible odds. This would just be one more chapter. "They think we're too aggressive," Miller muttered, watching as his city burned. "They haven't seen anything yet." As the command center staff rushed to implement his orders, Miller made a silent promise to himself and to Earth. This attack wouldn't be the end of humanity. Instead, it would be the beginning of something the Stellar Dominion and their Galactic Council never expected, a resistance that would shake the very foundations of their power. The real war hadn't even started, and humanity, with its back against the wall, was about to show the galaxy why you should never corner a species that had spent its entire history learning to survive. 6 months had passed since the day the sky fell. Deep beneath the ruins of what was once a prestigious research facility, Dr. Emma Roberts wiped sweat from her forehead as she studied the alien shield generator. The device hummed softly, its strange metal casting a faint blue glow across her makeshift laboratory. "Dr. Roberts," a voice called from the doorway. "Major Anderson is here with another delivery." She looked up to see Major Thomas Anderson entering the underground lab, his uniform dirty and torn. His team had been raiding crashed alien ships, gathering technology piece by piece. Today they'd brought what looked like part of a communication array. "Any trouble topside?" Emma asked, already clearing space on her workbench. "Nothing we couldn't handle," Anderson replied with a grim smile. "Their patrols are getting predictable, overconfident. They think they've won." The underground facility buzzed with activity. What had once been a simple research bunker had transformed into a sprawling complex, home to hundreds of survivors. Scientists worked alongside soldiers, studying alien technology while resistance fighters planned their next raids. Emma returned to the shield generator. "I think I found something interesting," she said, gesturing for Anderson to come closer. "Watch this." She pressed a series of buttons on her jury-rigged testing apparatus. The shield flickered to life, a small bubble of energy forming above the device. "Looks normal enough," Anderson observed. "Now watch this." Emma grabbed an old radio and turned it on. As she adjusted the frequency dial, the shield began to fluctuate wildly. At certain frequencies, it disappeared completely. Anderson's eyes widened. "Their shields have a weakness to radio waves." "Not exactly," Emma explained, excitement creeping into her voice. "They're vulnerable to rapidly changing frequency patterns. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's rigid. They never needed to develop the kind of frequency adaptation we did with our radio technology. They've had their fancy quantum shields for so long, they forgot about the basics." Before Anderson could respond, the bunker's communication system crackled to life. "Major Anderson to Command Center. Priority 1. In the command center, Captain Miller stood over a holographic map showing alien patrol patterns. "Major, good timing. We just intercepted some interesting chatter. They're planning something big, the final sweep to root out the last human resistance. They still don't know how many of us are down here?" Anderson asked. Miller shook his head. "The Earth's mineral composition interferes with their deep scanning technology. Another thing they didn't count on. But they're getting frustrated. They'd know we're out there, hitting their patrols, stealing their tech." "Speaking of tech," Emma interrupted, "I need to show you what we've discovered." She quickly explained about the shield vulnerability. Miller listened intently, his expression growing more focused with each word. "Can you weaponize it?" "Give me 2 weeks and a few more shield generators to test with," Emma replied. "We'll need to build something that can generate rapidly shifting frequency patterns on a massive scale, but it's possible." "You'll have whatever you need," Miller assured her. "Anderson, step up the raids. Get her those generators." As they discussed plans, a young resistance fighter burst into the room. "Sir, patrol approaching the north entrance. They're using new scanning equipment." Miller sprang into action. "Anderson, take your team and create a diversion. Dr. Roberts, shut down all non-essential equipment. Everyone else, battle stations." The bunker erupted into controlled chaos as people rushed to their positions. Emma quickly powered down her experiments, but not before saving all her shield frequency data. If the aliens found them now, all their work would be lost. Above ground, the sound of energy weapons and explosions echoed through the ruins. Anderson's team was drawing the alien patrol away from the bunker entrance, using hit-and-run tactics they'd perfected over months of resistance. They're falling for it, the communication officer reported. Patrol is moving away from our position. Miller watched the tactical display, his expression stern. We're running out of time. Dr. Roberts, how soon can you have a prototype ready? Emma looked at the alien shield generator, her mind already racing through calculations. 1 week, she said firmly. Give me 1 week. As the sounds of battle faded above, the underground resistance continued their work. The aliens might control the surface, but humanity wasn't beaten. In labs and bunkers around the world, they were preparing their counterattack. And soon, very soon, the Stellar Dominion would learn why Earth's aggressive nature wasn't a weakness. It was their greatest strength. Dr. Emma Roberts hadn't slept in 2 days, but she couldn't stop now. The prototype in front of her represented humanity's best hope. She called it the Frequency Cascade, a device that combined Earth's radio technology with modified alien power cores. Testing had shown promising results, but they needed something bigger. The final component is ready, her assistant Mark called from across the lab. He carefully carried a crystalline structure that they'd salvaged from an alien command ship. The crystal pulsed with an inner light, its surface etched with strange patterns. Perfect timing, Emma said, clearing space on the workbench. The power calculations show this should work. Should being the key word. The door to the lab slid open, and Captain Miller entered with Major Anderson. Both men looked tired but determined. The past week had been intense, with resistance cells worldwide coordinating to gather the necessary components. Please tell me you have good news, Miller said, looking at the device. Emma nodded, gesturing to the prototype. We've done it. The frequency cascade works by generating millions of rapidly shifting radio frequencies per second. When it hits their shields, it creates a cascade failure. Like trying to solve 1 million different math problems at once, their systems can't adapt fast enough. Anderson stepped closer, examining the device. How many of these can we build? That's the best part, Emma replied, pulling up a holographic display. We've simplified the design. Using Earth's natural rare earth elements, we can amplify the effect. The minerals that hide us from their scans. They also strengthen our signal. Miller's eyes lit up with understanding. So we can build these in every bunker. Better, Emma said. We can connect them through the old power grids. Create a global network. When we activate them together, she let the implication hang in the air. Suddenly, the bunker's alert system blared. Red lights flashed as the communication officer's voice came through the speakers. Multiple ships detected. They're launching a massive ground assault. Miller rushed to the command center, the others close behind. The tactical display showed dozens of alien ships descending from orbit. Ground forces were deploying in unprecedented numbers. They're tired of playing cat and mouse, Anderson observed grimly. This is their endgame. Emma watched the display, her mind racing. The cascade isn't fully tested. If we try to use it now, we don't have a choice, Miller cut in. How long to get it ready? 3 hours to link it into the power grid. Another hour to synchronize with other bunkers. Emma was already moving, her fingers flying over the control panel. But sir, there's something else. If this works, it won't just disable their shields. The power feedback could destroy their ships completely. Miller's expression hardened. They made their choice when they attacked Earth without provocation. Anderson, hit your team's topside. Buy us those 4 hours. The major nodded, already heading for the armory. Outside, the sound of alien weapons grew closer. The ground shook as massive walker vehicles approached their position. All resistance cells, this is Captain Miller, he broadcast on their secure channel. Initiative Thunderstrike is green. I repeat, Thunderstrike is green. Hold the line for 4 hours. Show them what humanity can do. Around the world, hidden bunkers buzzed with activity. Scientists raced to connect their cascade devices, while fighters moved to defensive positions. The aliens had expected to find scattered, demoralized survivors. Instead, they were about to face humanity's coordinated counterattack. Emma worked frantically, connecting the crystal to the main power supply. The device hummed louder, its glow intensifying. Above, the sounds of battle grew fiercer as Anderson's teams engaged the alien forces. "System at 60%, she reported, sweat dripping from her forehead. "Mark, route more power from the backup generators." The bunker shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling as alien weapons impacted nearby. But deep underground, protected by Earth itself, humanity prepared its surprise. The Stellar Dominion thought they had won, thought they had crushed Earth's spirit. In 3 hours, they would learn just how wrong they were. The world burned above them. Major Anderson crouched behind a fallen concrete pillar, watching as another alien walker stomped past their position. His team had been fighting for 3 hours straight, using every trick they'd learned over the past 6 months to keep the enemy occupied. "Status report," he whispered into his comm unit. "East Sector holding," came the response. "Barely. They're throwing everything they have at us." Anderson checked his watch. 1 more hour until the frequency cascade would be ready. They just had to survive until then. Deep underground, Dr. Emma Roberts and her team worked frantically. The cascade device hummed louder with each passing minute, its crystalline core pulsing with increasing intensity. Captain Miller stood at the command center, coordinating with resistance cells worldwide. "London bunker reporting ready," the communications officer announced. Paris, Moscow, Beijing all synchronized, waiting for final power-up sequence. Emma's fingers flew across the control panel. Power grid connections stable. Crystal matrix holding at 90% capacity. She looked up at Miller. "Sir, once we activate this, there's no going back. The power surge will destroy most of our electrical systems. Better than letting them destroy what's left of our world," Miller replied grimly. "How many ships are in range?" The tactical officer studied his display. "They've committed almost their entire invasion fleet. Over 300 ships in low orbit, plus ground forces." A massive explosion rocked the bunker. Through the command center's few external cameras, they watched as an alien energy beam cut through a nearby building. The aliens were getting closer. "Major Anderson," Miller called through the comm. "Fall back to the secondary positions. All teams, initiate Protocol Omega. 60 minutes to cascade activation." Above ground, Anderson signaled his teams to retreat. They'd set up this scenario dozens of times, making the aliens think they'd finally cornered the last human resistance. The enemy forces pressed forward eagerly, exactly as planned. In the lab, Emma made the final adjustments to the cascade device. "Mark, route emergency power to the stabilizers. We can't risk a feedback loop when this thing goes live." The minutes ticked by with agonizing slowness. Around the world, resistance fighters drew enemy forces into carefully planned kill zones. The aliens, thinking they had finally found the humans' hidden bases, concentrated their ships over major cities. 40 minutes, Miller announced. The bunker shook again, harder this time. "Sir," the tactical officer called out, "they're deploying some kind of new weapon. Energy readings are off the charts." Through the cameras, they watched as a massive alien device descended from one of the capital ships. It looked like a giant drill, crackling with energy. "They're going to try to bore through the Earth's crust," Emma realized. "They must have finally figured out why they can't scan us." Miller's jaw tightened. "We can't wait any longer. Dr. Roberts, how soon can you activate the cascade?" Emma studied her readings. 20 minutes minimum, if we rush it." Another explosion cut her off. The lights flickered ominously. "We don't have 20 minutes, Anderson's voice crackled through the comm. "That drill device is powering up. 10 minutes at most before it reaches full charge." Emma looked at her team, then at Miller. "If we bypass the safety protocols, we might be able to trigger it now, but the power surge could kill everyone in the bunker." Miller didn't hesitate. "Do it. All bunkers. "This is Captain Miller. Emergency activation authorized. May God help us all." Emma's hands moved in a blur across the controls. The Cascade devices hummed, turned into a high-pitched whine. Around the world, other bunkers followed suit, pushing their devices to the limit. Cascade reaching critical mass. Emma shouted over the noise. "Synchronization at 80%. It'll have to be enough. All bunkers, on my mark." The alien drill pierced the sky with blinding light. In orbit, their ships moved into attack formation, ready to deliver the final blow to humanity. Now, Emma slammed her hand down on the activation switch. The world turned white. A wave of invisible energy burst from every hidden bunker, racing outward in an ever-expanding sphere. When it hit the alien ships, their shields flickered and died. The energy kept building, turning their own power sources against them. Operation Thunderstrike had begun, and the galaxy was about to learn why humanity should never be underestimated. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council hummed with nervous energy. Representatives from 100 alien species filled the circular chamber, their voices a mixture of fear and disbelief. At the center of the hall, Captain James Miller and Dr. Emma Roberts stood calmly, still wearing their Earth Defense Force uniforms. "You destroyed 300 ships," High Counselor Vex stated, his luminous eyes fixed on the humans. "The finest fleet in the stellar dominion, gone in minutes." "You left us no choice," Miller replied evenly. "You attacked without provocation, killed millions of our people, and expected us to simply accept our fate." The chamber erupted in angry murmurs. A tall, crystalline being rose from its seat. "The humans are too dangerous. Look how easily they turned our own technology against us. They must be contained." Emma stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "We didn't want this fight. We were developing peacefully, reaching for the stars on our own terms. You judged us for our internal conflicts without understanding them. Those very conflicts drove us to innovate, to adapt, to overcome." She activated a holographic display, showing the frequency cascade device. "Your technology is impressive, but rigid. You've relied on the same solutions for so long that you've forgotten how to think differently. We took your shield generators and improved them. We found weaknesses you never imagined because you never had to look for them." Major Anderson, standing guard at the chamber entrance, smiled slightly as the alien representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "The humans are right," a new voice spoke. An elderly alien with silver skin stood slowly. "I am Admiral Xen of the Outer Rim Confederation. We warned the Council against this rash action. Earth's history showed not just conflict, but remarkable progress. They advanced from primitive flight to space exploration in less than a century." Miller nodded gratefully at the Admiral before addressing the Council again. "We're not here for revenge. We're here to take our rightful place among the stars. But we will not be controlled. We will not be subjugated." High Counselor Vex leaned forward. "And if we refuse, if we declare humanity a threat to galactic peace, then we'll defend ourselves," Emma replied simply. "The frequency cascade was just the beginning. We've already improved the design. Our scientists are studying every piece of alien technology we salvaged. We learn. We adapt. We overcome." The chamber fell silent. The implications were clear. Humanity had not only defeated the Dominion's fleet, they had done it from a position of technological inferiority, using their enemy's strength against them. A holographic screen appeared, showing the aftermath of the battle for Earth. Disabled alien ships littered the orbit, while others lay scattered across the planet's surface. But instead of destroying them, humans were already at work, studying and improving the technology. "The vote is called," High Counselor Vex announced, his tone resigned. "On the matter of Earth's admission to the Galactic Council." The results appeared one by one. Many species voted out of fear, others out of genuine respect for humanity's achievements. In the end, the outcome was clear. "Earth is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Council," Vex declared, "with all rights and responsibilities thereof." Miller stepped forward. "We accept, with one condition. Earth will maintain its independent military force. We won't rely on the Dominion for protection. Recent events have shown why that would be unwise." The Council had no choice but to agree. As the session ended, Admiral Xen approached the human delegation. "Remarkable achievement," the Admiral said. "In 6 months, you did what no other species has done in millennia. You proved that strength lies not in technological superiority, but in the will to survive, to adapt, to fight against impossible odds." Miller gazed around the chamber, watching as the various representatives filed out, many casting nervous glances at the humans. "We never wanted to fight," he said quietly. "But now they know. Earth will always stand ready to defend itself. And next time, we won't be caught unprepared." As they left the Great Hall, Emma looked up at the alien stars visible through the massive crystal dome. Humanity had earned its place among them, not through peaceful cooperation as they'd hoped, but through the very determination and adaptability that the Council had feared. The galaxy would never be the same, and Earth, once dismissed as a primitive, violent world, had become something else entirely. A power to be respected, a voice to be heard, and a reminder that underestimating humanity was a mistake no one should make twice. 1 year after Earth's admission to the Galactic Council, the planet had changed beyond recognition. Where alien bombardments had once scared the surface, new cities rose from the ruins. But these weren't just rebuilt versions of old structures. They were hybrid creations, combining Earth's architecture with advanced alien technology. Captain Miller, now Admiral Miller, stood at the window of the new Earth Defense Force headquarters in New Washington. The building itself was a testament to humanity's new path, its walls made of transparent crystal that could withstand orbital bombardment, yet shaped in the familiar style of Earth's classical architecture. The latest reports from the Joint Research Facility, Sir, Dr. Emma Roberts said, entering his office. She'd been promoted too, now heading the Global Advanced Technology Division. "Our improvements to the alien shield technology have been approved for galactic-wide implementation." Miller smiled. "How did the Dominion representatives take that news?" "About as well as you'd expect," Emma replied with a slight grin. "It's not every day you have to accept upgrades from a species you try to conquer." The view from Miller's office showed the changes that had transformed Earth. Civilian vehicles now shared the skies with patrol ships of human design, their hulls bearing the distinctive blue and silver colors of the Earth Defense Force. In orbit, the massive form of humanity's first star station gleamed in the sunlight. Major Anderson's report from the frontier. Emma continued, activating a holographic display. The joint patrol with the Outer Rim Confederation was successful. 3 pirate bases eliminated, and they specifically requested human tactical advisors for future operations. "They're learning," Miller noted, "finally understanding that our aggressive nature has its uses." The holographic display shifted to show Earth's newest achievement, the Genesis Project. What had started as underground bunkers during the Resistance had evolved into a network of advanced research and development facilities. Scientists from across the galaxy now came to Earth to study humanity's unique approach to problem solving. "The council session is in an hour," Emma reminded him. "They're voting on the expansion proposal." Miller nodded, straightening his uniform. The proposal would allow Earth to establish colonies on previously restricted worlds. A year ago, such a suggestion would have been unthinkable. But things had changed. In the council chamber, now permanently relocated to Earth as a symbol of humanity's new status, representatives from across the galaxy gathered. Admiral Xen, now Earth's strongest ally in the council, nodded in greeting as Miller and Emma took their seats. High Counselor Vex, who had ordered the original attack on Earth, looked notably uncomfortable. His once mighty stellar dominion had been reformed, its aggressive expansion policies replaced with more cooperative approaches, a change directly resulting from their defeat at Earth's hands. "The Council recognizes Earth's delegation," the new council leader announced. Unlike the previous leadership, this one was elected by all member species, Another change influenced by human diplomatic pressure. Miller stood to address the chamber. Honored representatives, a year ago, we sat in this chamber as former enemies. Today, we gather as partners in humanity's proposed Genesis initiative. Our colonies will not just extend Earth's reach. They will serve as hubs of innovation and cooperation for all species. The chamber buzzed with discussion. Through the crystal dome above, the transformed skyline of New Washington served as a reminder of how much had changed. Human innovation had not just rebuilt their world. It had improved upon alien technology in ways that benefited the entire galaxy. The vote stands at 90% in favor, the council leader announced. The Genesis initiative is approved. As the chamber erupted in applause, Emma leaned close to Miller. Did you ever think, during those days in the bunker, that we'd end up here? Miller watched as human and alien representatives mingled freely, discussing joint projects and sharing ideas. No, he admitted, but that's humanity's greatest strength, isn't it? We don't just survive, we thrive. We take defeat and turn it into victory. We take destruction and create something better from the ruins. Outside, the sun set on a changed Earth. Ships from a dozen alien worlds moved through the skies, no longer as conquerors but as partners. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not just through force of arms, but through their relentless drive to improve, to innovate, and to turn even their greatest challenges into opportunities for growth. The galaxy had tried to conquer Earth. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, and in doing so, they had transformed themselves. The future stretched out before them, filled with endless possibilities, and humanity was ready to lead the way. 20 years had passed since Earth's victory over the stellar dominion. In the grand archives of the new Galactic Academy on Mars, a young alien student named Tix walked alongside an aged Dr. Emma Roberts. The student's crystalline form caught the light from the massive windows, creating small rainbows on the polished floor. And this is where we keep the original frequency cascade device, Emma said, stopping before a display case. Inside, the device that had changed the course of galactic history looked almost primitive compared to modern technology. Professor Roberts, Tix asked, their voice translating smoothly through modern comm systems, is it true that humans invented this in just 6 months, while hiding underground? Emma smiled, touching the case gently. Yes, though sometimes even I find it hard to believe. We had no choice but to innovate or die. That pressure created something remarkable. They moved through the archive, passing holographic displays showing the transformation of Earth and its colonies over the past 2 decades. The Mars Academy itself was a testament to that change. The first institution in the galaxy where all species could study together, learning from each other's strengths. There's someone I'd like you to meet, Emma said, leading Tix to a quiet corner of the archive. An elderly man sat in a hover chair, looking out at the Martian landscape through the reinforced windows. Despite his age, his military bearing was unmistakable. Admiral Miller, Tix whispered in awe. The hero of Earth. Miller turned his chair, a warm smile crossing his weathered face. Just James these days. I retired from the Defense Force 5 years ago. He gestured for them to sit. Dr. Roberts tells me you're writing a thesis on the human resistance era. Yes, sir, Tix replied eagerly. My research focuses on how humanity's response to the invasion changed galactic military and scientific development. The way you combine simple radio technology with advanced alien shields, it revolutionized everything. That's the interesting thing about progress, Miller mused. Sometimes you have to go backward to move forward. The Dominion had forgotten basic principles in their rush to develop advanced technology. We reminded the galaxy that innovation isn't just about creating new things, it's about understanding the foundations. Through the windows, they could see the sprawling campus of the Academy. Students from hundreds of species walked its grounds, sharing ideas and cultures in ways that would have been unthinkable 2 decades ago. What happened to Major Anderson? Tix asked. The historical records aren't clear. Emma and Miller exchanged knowing looks. Tom Anderson, Miller said proudly, is currently leading the Genesis Explorer fleet at the galaxy's edge. Still fighting pirates, still protecting the innocent. Some things never change. A soft chime interrupted their conversation. The Archive's main display activated, showing a live feed from deep space. The newest human innovation, the Harmony Gate Network, was about to be inaugurated. This system of advanced transportation hubs, built on the principles discovered during the Resistance, would connect the furthest reaches of known space. "Look at that," Miller said softly. "From hiding in bunkers to building highways between the stars. Sometimes I wonder what those first Dominion ships would think if they could see us now." "They underestimated us," Emma added. "But in doing so, they'd forced us to become something greater than we might have been otherwise." Ticks absorbed this, their crystalline form shifting with emotion. "My final question, Professor. What do you think is humanity's greatest legacy from that time?" Emma thought for a moment, looking at the frequency cascade device in its case. "Not the technology," she said finally. "Not the victories or the innovations. Our greatest legacy is the reminder that no species has a monopoly on progress. That sometimes the most primitive world can teach the most advanced civilizations something new." Miller nodded in agreement. "We showed the galaxy that true strength isn't about having the best weapons or the most advanced shields. It's about the will to survive, the creativity to adapt, and the wisdom to learn from both victory and defeat." Outside, the Martian sun set on a changed solar system. Ships of all designs moved between planets that now teemed with life from across the galaxy. Earth's resistance had not just saved humanity. It had transformed the very nature of galactic civilization. As Ticks took notes for their thesis, they realized they were recording more than just history. They were documenting the moment when the galaxy learned that true progress comes not from dominance, but from the sharing of knowledge, the mixing of cultures, and the endless drive to reach for the stars together.